Hello from Sterling, Kansas. My name is Libby Reimer, and yes, we are in the smack dab center of Kansas. Like the definition of central Kansas is Sterling, Kansas. Like I said, my name is Libby, and I am a current MFA student at Fort Hays State University. And I just finished up my first year as an instructor of art and design at Sterling College. And what a first year whirlwind this year has been for sure. I'm sure all of you are curious about the title Coffee Bean Carrot or Egg. The title, as a title of a presentation, it seems because it's three unrelated food-like objects, I guess you could say, but they all have a significance in what type of designer or even the type of person you want to be for that matter. In my undergrad, my professors used metaphors a number of times to explain life lessons, especially ones that we would be facing after college. I forgot about this particular life lesson until my professor reminded me of it during one of my heart-to-heart talks first semester when my plate was overflowing and I needed some guidance. And after she said it, it really hit me and dawned on me. And it really set a staple for how I wanted to teach and design, along with what my professors, what my students should strive for. To be a coffee bean, carrot, or egg, which one? I wanted to show my students a little bit of where exactly I was coming from, since we were still very new to each other. And I asked everyone in my classes, what would you guys rather be? Coffee bean, carrot, or egg? I didn't give them any pretext. I wanted to know what they would say. And I even asked my mom this question when I was making this presentation, and she said she wanted to be a carrot. I was like, well, why? And she said, because she liked the color of it. Yes, the color of the carrot versus the other three is a lot more exciting than brown or white or pearl or whatever the color of an egg is. And that kind of went along with the responses that I got from my students. A majority of them had to do something with the shape, the color, or the taste, or how an eggshell cracks, or the firmness of the carrot, and stuff like that. It was very surface. And I followed up the discussion with a question of, well, what if you're put into boiling water? Which changed the perspective of things, and which leads me to the project that I'm about to share. During the faculty retreat at the beginning of the year, Dr. Karen Baylor, who teaches business courses, approached me about doing a possible collaboration project with her entrepreneur class. She had thrown out the idea of Shark Tank, which other universities and colleges have done similar projects, but she wanted to do it different. She wanted to include branding, and she wanted to know what I thought. Well, I was on board right away because I love how marketing and business tie in with graphic design so well. And I presented the idea of what if her students hired mine to do their company branding for their startup products. And that's how we got to the name Shark Pool. We did it based on the name Shark Tank. At the end of the semester, we would have business and design personnel come, and the students would present their projects and their designs to a panel of judges for feedback, just like you would in the show Shark Tank. I thought this would be a perfect way to introduce the students to a real life scenario. I had all but one senior, and from what I gathered from them, they haven't done anything like this before. And so I wanted them to go through a real life learning experience with the possibility of being put into boiling water, which at some point all designers will go through. I was able to acquire some successful business personnel for the entrepreneurship panel. All had different resumes and portfolios, along with two of my MFA classmates that have incredible records, plus along with a marketing director who has done it all. All the judges across the board had different perspectives and different attributes to bring to the panel. The project required this for my students. They had 5 weeks. The first few weeks were interviews and filling out papers to help them get their ideas perfectly across with the concept of what the client wants. So they had to do personas and SWOT analysis, and they had to interview their groups to get to really know what the company was all about and to see the client's vision through it all. Along with that, they had to design what you see here as well. So this actually worked out perfectly timeline-wise. We started in early November with this project, and they presented in during finals week in December. Dr. Baylor's students actually started their part of the project at the beginning of the semester and worked on it a little bit each week. And by the end of the fall semester, they had a clear picture and understanding of what their company was and what they wanted, which made it easier for my students. And we had one design student with each group of her class. So as a class, we went through a series of branding called The Future. They have lots of design courses and critiques and how-tos, and I have this building a brand series that I saved and watched, and I thought it was really good for the students to work alongside with Christo and their company as an example of building a brand. And so it really provided my students with a visual on how to do this, since this is our first time doing this project. It was to help them to really understand what they were doing, and it helped a lot. So the first meeting, the students had a packet they had to fill out that really covered the company's questions, which I shared earlier. And after that, they were able to get style boards made and able to get a visual direction of where their client wanted to go. And after that was solidified, they started doing their sketches. They met with the client once a week. They logged the time they spent with them and the time they spent working on the project, so they could fill out an estimate form and an invoice and learn how to do that process, as well as if they were charged them by the hour. And they wanted to make sure that the client ensured that they were happy. We had lots of changes, as you can imagine, but we also had, in about 2 weeks left until finals, we had an entrepreneurship group change its name. So my student had to go in and work with them and change all the branding stuff she had done previously to fit what the client's needs were. When it came to the presentation day, the students had about a 15-minute window for each group to present, but as a company, they had 30 minutes total. And 80% or more of our students are athletes. And so it was in the heart of basketball season. And so we had a lot of basketball athletes that were in this project. And so we had a 3-hour time crunch window. We had to get all the presentations done. So it felt a little rushed, but we got her done. Dr. Baylor's class, her entrepreneurship students went first, followed by my design students. So the judges got both the business side and the design side in one group. Each presentation, the students had a PowerPoint or a keynote, and then they also printed out examples of mock-ups or letterheads, business cards, etc., of what they wanted. A lot of the products the companies had from the students, well, basically all of them had to do with sports or something to do with sports gear for that matter. So it's really interesting to see what they all came up with, because they were all so different, even though they kind of covered the same concept of sports. And we even had a group make a prototype and was in the works of getting their product patented. I personally thought the presentations went great. There were only a few normal hiccups, but other than that, I felt the students responded well. And even though there was some boiling water going on, there was lots of positivity as well. And I thought they responded in a respectful way when those boiling water points reached that. But other than that, they did an incredible job. So in concluding, to be a coffee bean, carrot, or an egg, when you're put into boiling water, you notice that they all react differently. If you're an egg, you become a hard-boiled egg, which makes you really hard, obviously, and it can make you become an unhealthy in environment and make it difficult to work with. If you become a carrot and you put it into boiling water, you get all mushy and you fall apart. You become unreliable and you're kind of just all over the place. You want to be a coffee bean in the end. When a coffee beans are put into boiling water, what happens? Well, coffee is made, and yet even though caffeine is essential in our line of work, it is important to notice that a coffee bean changes its surroundings without changing its form. As people, we want to be the coffee bean. How we handle situations, whether it be in school, work, or in our personal lives, everything affects the people around us. Being a positive influence plus how we react to hard situations affects who sees and who's watching. And you want to make sure that you are doing it in a positive way and in an instructive way, but not changing the person who you are. You want to change your surroundings to be good. The students learned areas that they needed to work on, good and bad, and there were a few that did not like the project due to the either the boiling water or the subject matter that they were designing for. But there were also ones that really enjoyed it. For a few students, it was like a light bulb went off, and having them second semester felt like they were more eager to learn, and they were not as scared to step out of their comfort zones. The challenges and changes that we had to make to the project, a lot of it had to do with time. We are going, if we do this again, we're going to do it in two separate rooms. So there's two different sets of panels to get done and have it not be as time restricted. And there's a few holes in how to present the project to the students, so it makes it a clear understanding. Some of the successes that we found, though, is that Dr. Baylor and I both thought that this was a really fun, competitive way to teach branding and how to be an entrepreneur. A lot of the comments we got were that a lot of business students and even the business personnel had no clue of what went into in designing for someone, or the branding, or what it takes to truly brand something with a strong concept. And so we had a lot of praises for that as well. And the students got the real world experience as well, and how they spoke stronger. And I noticed a change in their confidence level as well. Well, guys, thank you for listening. If you have any input or questions concerning the project, I would love to hear back from you. My email is libbyreimer@sterling.edu, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the conference.